Okay, okay.
Not anymore, it's not.
There you go.
No, it's not empty. It's in the spot.
No, I was trying to figure out where exactly am I? All right. We got one of him.
Okay. So what is the power bill to
Since you couldn't get it, you want to read it on my phone? Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't want more, but
Well, I don't think
No, I mean.
Here. He's got a whole roll. This morning, hello?
I do.
I brought her coffee.
You didn't comment on the picture I sent you.
I think, oh yeah, I'm going to comment on that. I don't think so. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm pretty good, I guess.
You know, that's why we did this.
That was really nice.
How are you, Lisa? I'm good. How are you?
Let's sandwich Ray.
Doesn't sound appealing.
Oh, I wondered if you had.
I thought that was it. Hey, you know,
I have not been my emails.
oh, this is the advanced funding. Yeah, really don't.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it.
Yes, you are.
I know, I'm one of them.
That's what I'm not. And so I think I've talked about my fiscal person. My fiscal person.
I think he's a one. But you just trained with it?
I
think he's, okay, you're still doing it, okay. Right.
No, hold on, about accent. And I'm in the midst.
Well, it's not, it's just those are options.
Okay.
It's Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. Overview.
A little louder, I don't think they heard you.
It took forever to get through for ideas, and I finally got them.
Understanding. Good.
Thank you.
Had a lot of people at the meeting yesterday, but, you know, sometimes they need to go back to the office. They can work at their desk.
That way you're progress that
Are we ready?
Try and get the work done.
last email was at 2:30.
Well, I can manually do that if you need it.
It's strange.
I just-
So we got email after that.
Okay.
I'm sure some.
I know. That happened last week, but it was oh, okay, okay. The thing is, it takes a long time to get emails.
Yeah.
I know it. And I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then I went into the office.
Thanks, Ray.
The
All right.
Upper right.
I know, that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Thank you.
After, you know. Thanks.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We've got a full agenda today, so we will get started. I have just a few comments to make because we are trying a new Meeting 1 webinar scenario. So for those of you at your desk, I want to point out you don't get any feedback, because we want to allow you to ask questions, and the only way to really do that is through the phone line. Otherwise, you're chatting, and then we have to keep interrupting, and Bill has to monitor that. So we'll do that. We'll keep the line open as long as we don't have any feedback. The second thing is that you now see documents on your computer. So you will see our agenda for today. You will see the, not the treasurer's report, but we will try to post that for next month. The minutes that are on there, as well as the document that we will be voting on as a membership, the Reinventing the Workforce System paper. Also, you'll see a list, the roll call list that Bill is using. So when your name is called during roll call, we will ask you to just put a check by your name. So our minutes will then be reflecting who attends via webinar and who is attending in person. So the programmatic committee had asked for that. And then also at the bottom, you will see we've added polling. Well, we haven't added it. It accompanies the meeting one. But so those of you at home will actually get to vote on the treasurer's report, the secretary's report, and then vote on the reinventing or any votes that we ever have. So there might be a little delay as you vote. So when we say, I'll make a motion to accept secretary's and treasurer's report, we won't, we'll have a first and a second, all those we take a look at your votes. So it's all a way to try to further engage you in our meetings. So we hope that this works pretty well. I think everything is working right now.
Yes.
Okay. Then I will hand it over to Bill to do the roll call. Or the secretary. Ann Snyder's going to do the roll call.
Okay, Terry Berryman. Here. Gary Gibson.
Here.
Jeff Pointer.
Here.
Julie Courtney.
Here.
Darcy Buckholz. Mike Williams. Kathy Day. Janet Berthold. Tracy McDonald. Mary Beth Marshall.
Here.
Sue Clark. Karen Nortington Reeves. Martin Thurda. Al Fleece. Jennifer Stash. Evelyn Diaz.
Chris Dennis for Evelyn Diaz.
Joanna Green. Cindy Plessner. Pat Farah. Madonna Russell. Dana Washington. Pam Ferlin. Here. Chuck Stewart.
Here.
Jeanette Dawson. Here. Lance Shoup.
Here.
Bashir Ali.
Chris Marston for Bashir Ali.
Paula Tribe. Here. Gary Chichu.
Steve Martin for Gary Chichu.
Steve Martin.
Here.
Al Anderson. Brian Hengsken. Robin McCoy. Here. Karen Allen. Here. Ann Schneider. Here. Mike Scheer.
Here.
Vicki Lubrit.
Mike Scheer for Vicki Lubrit.
Dave Stecklin.
Here.
Matt Jones.
Here.
Jerry Schulte. Kevin Pierce. Melinda Nicholson. Kathy Lively. Michelle Cerruti. Tiffany Collins. Pamela Barbie.
Here.
Hey, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Okay, that seems to work pretty well. So thank you all. I will
So moved.
did we have a
One small change, if you could put under the roll call, Chris Dennis for Evelyn Diaz under the November.
there's been a correction. We need to replace Evelyn's name with Christian from last meeting. So with that correction.
3 months of that change.
Okay. Motion from Dave, second from Pam. All in favor in the room? Aye.
Aye.
Those of you in favor at home can now vote, and we will approve them when we get all tallied. So we have Becky and Lisa and Ray from DCEO, and they have a list of questions.
That's right.
Yes.
The Three Stooges. You said that.
I did. I'll own it.
I'm dopey.
That's a dwarf. You can be Larry Curly or Moe.
Remember?
Yep. We have to unmute the phone.
Larry's always in charge.
Not me.
Your microphone has been turned on.
Okay. So
I guess in simplest terms, it's to still focus on demand occupations through the task force model. And I guess part of the focus is going to be trying to help employers fill the long-term unfilled positions. So we've got the long-term unemployed and the long-term unfilled positions, and I guess somewhere in the middle, those two things are supposed to sync up through training or whatever, some process. I don't know, Dave, you're on the IWeb.
I think that's a good indication. There was a lot of, we have to wait and see where the state's at budget-wise once everything shakes out.
Right.
And there was the initiative, the entrepreneurship center, or the entrepreneurship task force, armed with the
Engineers.
a lot of wait and see. The other thing that I remember a lot of conversation about was IJL was going to be rolled out.
Right.
Jay had made several remarks that was a priority of making sure arts and systems work together.
Right. So I'm assuming what the priority will continue to be. Are we planning to apply for an innovation grant? Yes, we are. We're working with our partners, community colleges, IDS, to put something together, probably along a pathways type model that includes some direct training with employers. That's nothing official until we get sign-off from the other agencies involved. Other areas that may be applying, I don't know. You might have more information about that amongst yourselves.
Right.
Is Chicago coming in or whoever?
Yeah, I think you'll see a couple of applications from the state. We were just obviously wondering what the content of where you were looking to apply.
Right. Right.
On your pathways plan, would that include programs?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not the architect. That's going to be Bob Sheets. I'm sure that we're going to try and tie it into some of the things that we've already had in the works with ICCB, using LMI from IDES. There's an evaluative piece with, so we've got to figure out, you know, what amongst those categories, what's the best fit? Is it to expand? You know, whatever that's going to be. But I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some work or OJT, class size training, something, or customized training, something like that. So, you know, hopefully by the end of the month we'll have a firmer idea of what does it really look like. So maybe at the next IWP we can talk, this is where we're going. The DOL Summer Jobs Initiative, is there additional information? We kind of made the assumption that this was in reference to Summer Jobs Plus 2012.
Right.
Our read of that is that that's just a bill that is encouraging employers to offer up jobs for youth over the course of the summer, low-income and disadvantaged youth, and that there's no money attached to it. It's on our state administrator's call with DOL this week, next week, I guess. So I'm sure they're going to ask us to somehow be responsive. They're supposed to put up a website that employers can go put these jobs that they're offering up on, and that the students can then be directed to. And so to whatever, I guess we'll find out if there's any direction to us from Department of Labor about what they think our role is, other than
Anybody know if there's a list of all the employers? I've seen bits and pieces, but not a complete list of all the employers.
It says coming soon.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know anything more about it than you can just discern from reading what they put forth.
in our area, but we might have a few. Thank you.
Right. So it's just, I think it's a national website to get employers to log on, put on a job, and kids to go see if there's a job in their area. The STEM Learning Exchange, which I would have even less information about than probably anybody else around the table, but I did have information from Bob Sheets, who said, you know, the launch of it is next week on the 9th, and that there's going to be an RFI that's going to be released apparently formally at that launch. And so he said that he'd encourage IWP to identify leads for each sector and communicate that broadly. So whatever, whatever they're going to do with that, I think, if I've seen several people I think are going to the launch. But the STEM Learning Exchange is really focused on the high school
Well, Jeannie Kitchens was here yesterday and gave us a handout on the Pathways project, and it did say for the STEM learning exchanges that the state had criteria, which I'm assuming will be in the RFI.
Yeah.
And then, areas are encouraged to form consortiums that would then apply for this, but at least there'll be standard criteria for any area that wants to apply. So we were just anxious to and we want to make sure that we understand what the role of the workforce system is in helping those consortium form. So I guess we'll wait for the...
Can you talk about out of the site? The site, I've seen the site, it's pretty smart.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool how it walks you through all the way from junior high. Here's what you should, courses and content you should focus on.
Is that site live yet?
It's not.
It's probably getting rolled out.
Okay.
It's, yeah,
At
it
the
probably will go
launch.
live at the launch.
Okay.
Right.
But then, it drills down deeper when you're in high school and post-secondary ed, and gives you all the courses that you need to take. And then here's the occupations that you go on this trajectory, then here's where you'll end up. It's pretty cool.
Great. Well, we'll wait for that on Tuesday and make that part of our next meeting.
Okay, and then there was a question about are we changing any policies in a reference to the 1E policy, which some of you already know we're changing that up, so Lisa's going to talk about.
We're going to send out, first we're going to send out a notice, and after we leave here, we're actually going to meet on it to finalize the notice, but we're dropping the number of affected down to 50. However, you also have to have met an 80% expenditure rate in the prior program year and a projected annualized expenditure rate of 80% in the current year. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what the new policy is going to be. Everything else is going to be status quo. There is going to be, I think, another sort of eligibility around if there's a statewide event that meets 200. You guys can come in for that regionally, like Borders or Shopco or some of the ones that have closed recently that come to mind. And I know there might have been 50 here or 20 here, and it might not have been able to apply as 20, but if it meets 200 statewide, then you guys can come in to get a grant for that. Yes.
So just to be clear, when you say 80%, you're talking dislocated worker funds only, or
Yes.
just...
Yes.
Right, and it still has to get signed off on by trees.
Yes.
So, there'll be tweakage, I'm
Right,
sure,
there will be.
in between now and when it gets
and
released.
it's pretty much going to be the same. So where it says you got to meet your 70%, that's 80. The other thing that we did was, as much as we could, because some of that application process we can't control because it's e-grants requirements. More user-friendly than it had been. I mean, we took out some stuff. Right. Oh, the other thing on the 1E is you're also going to have met your 40% training expenditure rate in both years. Be on track to meet it for this year and have met it last year. I don't think I forgot. I think those are the main. The other thing, if I can just throw something that wasn't on your agenda, we're going to meet next week. There's going to be some pretty significant changes in the Pell Grants. One of the requirements is going to be to get a Pell Grant, you're going to have a high school diploma or GED. We don't really know what that means for people that are currently in training with a Pell Grant that don't have their high school diploma or GED. There are some out there, it's a small amount. And we're hoping that they'll be grandfathered. And then if they do have a grandfather requirement, ICCB is recommending that as many people that want to go to training that would not get a Pell Grant after July 1 maybe should start in summer classes. So we're going to talk that through. I know there's some other changes in the grant amount like that. So we're meeting with ICCB next week, and we'll get something out because we'll have to move on that pretty quickly to impact summer classes and going forward. because we did a run and there's like over 5,000 people that don't have a high school diploma or GED in the system.
Okay, and then the next question was, what's the latest information on the funding allocation for next year? Ray?
Go to your one-page handout. As you can see, in the adult funding stream, there's going to be a $118,000 cut. Youth, these are national numbers now. There's a $1,655,000 cut in dislocated workers. Is the advanced funding, that first quarter of PY12. For adult, that percent did not change from PY11. But for dislocated workers, there's a 5% cut in the advanced funding. What that means, if we allocate the monies to you per the allotment formula, we may not be providing you enough money to cover the expenditures in that first quarter. Any questions about that simple statement?
Not a question, but a statement. That could really be an ouch.
So, I agree.
Okay.
So what I proposed to Deb in my email exchange with her is, as long as we provide you your annual allotment from advanced funding program year funding, if we have to borrow an LWIA allotment from advanced funding and give it to another LWIA, but make them whole with PY funding, can we do that? And she said yes. Well, that was a relief from me. The thing is, it's going to put the burden on you to identify the money that you need to cover that first quarter expenditures in the adult and dislocated worker funding streams. Again, it's the times that we live in. How much of this are we going to receive? Are we going to get an increase, a decrease compared to PY11 as a state? I don't know. I assume they will be using the 2010 census data in doing the allocations to the states, but I don't know that. I don't know how we compare to the it's just doesn't work anymore. So this one-page document is what I know about PY12 funding.
Can I scan this and send it out to those folks?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
There's additional handouts over here on the table. We will be putting out more information as we get closer to that July 1 period for adult and dislocated workers. Of course, we're going to have the allotments by then. But then we're going to need your feedback, that advanced funding, that first quarter funding, and you pay your bill. Questions about
What if you don't pay your bills until after?
Just don't pay them, there you go. Just turn into the state of Illinois. Don't pay our bills.
And the issue with the school bill. Well, yeah, because a lot of times they don't come December or November or December.
what do the cost principles say?
That's why I asked you.
you shall charge the cost to the period in which the benefit is received. Now, if you prorate, you're not going to... I don't like the idea of proration, because then we're undercharging those periods. The prior periods are being undercharged. I'm trying to meet a 70% expenditure rate statewide in all funding streams. So if you've got $100,000 of expenses in that first quarter, just because you don't pay it, you should legitimately report it in that first quarter. If you take that $100,000 of expenditures and multiply it times 26, it becomes a significant number statewide. And then Byron sends me nasty grams about expenditure rate. DOL does not get the state expenditures until 45 days after the end. So what they do, they look at our PMS draws, the money that we draw down and then pass through to you from Treasury, as a barometer of spending. Well, that's always lagging behind. But that's what they base their analysis on. And then I have to defend the expenditures that I have in GRS.
Well, and that's also what they share with Congress.
Yes.
Say
Right.
they're not spending, here's
Yeah.
$2.6 million we can take.
Right.
So if I don't have the expenditures in GRS, I can't refute their numbers. It's just how they conduct business. Bruce?
So when we find out, or when you find out what the allocations are going to be for next program year, and then you determine
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question so everybody at home can know what you're answering?
Go ahead, Bruce.
when the state finds out what the allocations for PY12 are going to be, and they determine what the first quarter's allocation amount is going to be, they're going to then ask us what we estimate our first quarter's expenses to be, and then base the amount you're going to distribute on that.
We don't want to put you in the hole to the extent we can avoid it, because what we're going to do is borrow from another LWIA.
So we should be gearing up to estimate what our first quarter of PY12 costs are going to be.
Yes, sir.
So will that require a modification?
Unilateral borrowing.
Probably Peter to stay for this year.
I just want to throw this out. You know, this is getting to be a pretty severe cut. I mean, only be able to use 14.71% of your money. I just want to throw it out that it could be possible that we might not have enough money to share. Because, I mean, our fall enrollments are our busiest period, as you all know. And I guess I just want to throw that out to everybody that, you know, when we turn in our estimates to Ray, what do we do if there's, you know, it could be that there's not enough money to share, which means we all need to be prepared not to do our normal fall enrolling, put people off till spring. And I don't want to be the angel of death, but I just thought somebody should say that.
Well, I think if you look at the adults, that's, I mean, that is
That's crazy, yeah.
You can't imagine what we did last year to have to fall within that. I mean, it was, we didn't pay for it for the whole month of September.
Yeah.
Just because there was no way we could do it. So our clients are suffering from this too. It's not just, you know.
I know.
So I totally agree. That's a major concern.
Yeah.
So does that, I mean, there's one solution, just one, combine all 26 LWIAs into one LWIA.
I mean, I think my point is all
It's a
taken.
valid point.
It's well taken. You know, we're all going in there thinking, hey, we'll be able to borrow from Dave, and Dave's going, hey, I can borrow from Pam, and I'm like, no.
Well, I think on the very face of it, although that is probably technically what you should do, I don't think anybody's going to come in and say, I'm going to have $200,000 sitting here so somebody else can have it.
That's my point.
Right, so you
Especially if
might,
there's no
we might have to think about the other reality, which is we don't have enough money for the first quarter.
Yeah.
Or we might all have to take those costs and spread them over and allocate them over the time period that they collect, instead of charging them back to when the tuition.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather not enroll than look like I'm not spending.
We made a major.
But I didn't realize we had next year's allocation.
We don't.
Oh, is this just an estimate? No.
No, that's
Right here,
passed.
this funding is for PY12 nationally. Okay. So they have
It
passed.
was passed on the 23rd of December. Well, the president
Okay.
signed it on December 23rd.
Okay, I'm sorry, I get it. It was part of the military bill, and there was no announcement. Right. Okay.
They snuck it in.
Okay.
And the other thing, what helped us last year was our youth.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Well, and you know, I was kind of
That
making...
ain't gonna happen.
No, well, right, and I was kind of making a joke to Ray about this, but there's really some truth into this, because the other thing that we have to start looking at from a policy perspective is that selective service requirement, and I don't really know what the ratio of males to females is off the top of my head in the customers we serve, but if you have a customer that can't get that, you can't tell that they're on selective service, you're not going to be able to serve them anymore until you have that actual letter in your hand. So, and I know we've been working with some of you on getting that cleaned up, because we don't really know what we're going to do with those ones that we don't have letters on yet. But that's also something that we have to think about too. So when you're enrolling those people, somebody comes in, I know they're supposed to have priority, but here's the thing. It takes 6 months to get that damn letter, or longer, I think, doesn't it?
Only states, yes, you should have registered. That's what all we've seen so far.
Yeah, that's all it does say.
Right, and then you have to,
Anything you don't know is just basically giving us something for selective service.
yeah, I don't know what that whole policy letter was about, because now there's a change that says, oh, by the way, this doesn't apply to Wagner-Pizer. It only applies to WEA.
Of course.
So you can send them, I guess, to IDS and let them do their core services to Wagner-Pizer.
Let them flounder there for a while.
Let them flounder there until you get some more money to serve them.
That's a great solution.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, yeah.
Alternative.
The second handout, Teagle 911 change 1. All the modifications that were in process, I stopped because the precision amount, the money we're taking away is overstated, giving you back about $380,000 in adult formula money and about $370,000 in dislocated. We're going to do that via unilateral mod floors on the crunching the numbers. So you're going to get some additional PY11 dollars. Easy.
Well,
Take it, you give it. So that's a piece of good news, I guess.
All right.
I have a question. Do we know yet year is up, it's down, it's over, it's done?
Now.
No, we don't. Does Congress have a clue?
Because they're still under continuing resolution and technically could still cut some of this. I mean, another rescission, so to speak?
I don't think, no, I
No,
don't.
not for 11.
Not for 11.
Not
So
for
once
11.
we get this done, this will be our final allocation.
Final answer.
Final.
No.
No, probably not. You can get rescinded, right?
You can always be rescinded at any time.
True.
true.
And that's my concern.
After we spent it.
Oh, it's not continuing to be out of 11 months. Get more money, no.
Well, the other
11's
20.
done.
Okay.
11's
11's
done.
done, yes.
The only way they can take more money
A new position?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes. For an election year, people want to get out of DC.
Alive. Jeff, would you like some water?
Less damage. Campaign.
Can we make it 10?
All right. The last question was there going to be incentive bonus? And no, there is not.
No, we're asking for that,
Waiver.
in this proposal, there were 3 waivers that states could ask for, and we're asking for all 3, which one was the incentive, the other was disseminating, it's not in here. It has something to do with the provider training information and the reporting outcomes. And then, what's the third one? Why can't I remember it? There's another one that doesn't...
They didn't mean much.
It doesn't mean, it's about conducting evaluations. It doesn't really, which I find that ironic when they're all moaning about we need to do more thorough evaluations, and then they said we don't have to do. Businesses to do that. And data validation, we're going to ask if we can conduct data validation at the same time they're doing routine monitoring, so we don't have to do that as a separate process. I think there's one other one, but off the top of my head.
One thing I forgot to say about the PY12 funding, they do retain the 5% cap on statewide activities.
But you still have less money.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm so glad that Ray, you came with us to bring sunshine.
That's not in my job description.
No,
It's part of your name. Ray.
Thank you that was a long list of questions, but there's, a lot going on, so thank you very much for coming.
Okay.
All righty.
It's the last time we can afford it.
Okay. All right, continuing on, I have just a few comments to make. Yesterday, Jeannie Kitchens was here at the meeting. I know a lot of you were here for that, and we talked about getting more WIA success stories on Illinois WorkNet. Last year, we had gotten a list of, because as you know, they're all segmented by congressional districts. So we wanted to take a look and see, what the list looked like for this year, especially before we go out to NAWB, that we can share that with some of the folks that we call on. And so there was a handout that Jeannie brought. There's like a 3-page thing on procedures. One of the things we asked is if they could make the add a photo either an option or that it would automatically just put a small logo from your local workforce area on there, so that wouldn't inhibit anybody who's at the one-stop center or doesn't have access to a photo or doesn't have an appropriate one to put on there. That would kind of solve that issue. So we'll wait for an answer from that, but I will get the procedures emailed out to everybody just so you have an electronic copy, and then also the list as soon as I get that. Don Ryan from Illinois Job Link come and talk to us, and basically they gave us a number to call. So if you are having any type of issues with that, for those of you at home, if you can take this number down, I will email it out on Monday. But their help desk is 877-342-7533. And I guess option 1 is primarily for job seekers who are calling that line for some help. Option 2 or 3 is a good way for staff to get help, and they seem to be on top of it. It's not like you're going to have to wait a long time or whatever. So, also in partnership with DCEO, we hope to be presenting a few webinars to further enhance the training, especially around the reports. I do have the manual, but I understand they're going to be updating it, so I think the advice was to hold off on just sending the manual out until we have that in conjunction with the first webinar. So they're very, very interested in providing us, with the additional training that we've all asked for, because there was a bit of a lag time. Also today, I do believe that the interface is going to be live with IWIDS, so that individuals that come in, to put a service, you put a service in for WIA, the IDES folks will be able to see that, and I do believe we will be able to see all the people that are in there, so there will be one record, and everybody adds the same services. So that's an exciting enhancement. The third thing I wanted to mention is we did send out an email. We did make a change in the date of our retreat because it conflicted with the NAWDP conference in Las Vegas. So our retreat is scheduled for May 23rd and 24th at the Embassy Suites in Peoria. It will start around noon on Wednesday, so that gives folks have time to get home. That being said, we just lost our secretary. Oh, there you are. The secretary's report. Got to quit changing seats on me. But we need you to come up here. So
It's very short.
okay.
The IWP directories and membership lists are all up to date as we kick off 2012.
Hey, thank you. And those you had emailed out on Friday, I believe. Okay, motion to approve the secretary's report?
Second.
Okay. All in favor here in the room? Aye. Those of you at home can vote on the secretary's report, which
I forgot to put that one up.
That wasn't up there, but the directory was emailed to you, so that is up to date, and that was Ann's report. So did we get an approval for the minutes?
Yes.
From everybody?
Yes. Yes.
So the minutes are officially approved.
Yeah, 12, okay.
Okay, Steve. That over?
I passed around 3 reports, fiscal reports for the last 3 months from the end of November 30th, the end of December 31st, and ending January 31st. $172,414.09. We had an audit completed in July, and there were no findings. Everything was in order, although I did think the cost was too much. It was $4,500 from Whipley, the accounting firm that did that. I'm probably going to send out another RFP to see if I can get any takers this year to see if I can get that cost lowered. If you'd like to see the audit, it's in this nice booklet here that they prepared for $4,500 again. They did a very good job. We're also, I need to make a motion to approve the contract for Bill Henke again for this year, 2012. We have it prepared and signed, and I'd like to make that motion.
Second from Blanche. All in favor in the room? Aye. Those of you at home, you can, is that on there for a vote?
I forgot to put that one on.
Sorry about that, from those of you at home.
Back to you on this, Bill.
I should have put that one on there, though.
Screw it up here.
It's a slight oversight, but we will accept your votes via chat if there's an issue, so. Questions?
People are chatting,
Steve?
yes.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
On the audit, are we required to do a complete audit annually?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No option to look at something less than...
No, I'm sending out another RP.
Steve, just a couple of things for the record. What's the length of the contract and the amount?
It is, let me see here, it is for 1 year, from January 1st, 2012 to December 31st. And it states the rate of pay is $60 an hour, I believe, up to, and shall be limited to $40,000 unless written modifications are submitted. And I also forgot to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
No, I thought we did that.
No.
No.
That one's on there.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to approve. Okay, thank you. Gary, second? Chuck, okay. And that is on, or that is not? Okay, so,
12 votes, yes.
all right. So we have, all right, motion accepted. Treasurer's report passes. Thank you, Steve. All right.
All right.
Thank you, those on the webinar for voting. Okay, we have the committee reports. Terry?
Don't forget. Yeah. Readers. Buddies and readers.
Good morning. The programmatic committee talked yesterday about the Greg Newton series. We are about halfway through that, actually exactly halfway through it. We've had 2 sessions with Greg. 2 more are scheduled. One is next Wednesday at 10 a.m. on February 8th. Those of you who have signed up should have gotten a reminder about that. Mary Beth is going to be doing our introduction, and what we will do is at the end of the series we will send out a survey to everyone who has participated, asking for feedback of the series. We have also scheduled quarterly fiscal roundtables, and that is also next Wednesday at 9 a.m. We don't have a specific topic yet, but when we send out reminders, we will be asking people for suggestions for topics. We have quite a few new fiscal people, so this will be an opportunity for them to participate for the first time and maybe ask some questions. I believe we have asked Ray to participate in those as well, so that he can let people know things like he talked to us about today. We probably should talk about that advanced formula funding with that fiscal group and what that means for them, because they're going to be the ones taking care of it for us. So that probably is our topic for Wednesday now, and we do have a topic, so that's a good thing. We also talked about the website a little. That was one of our tasks for one of the goals that we had set for the committee this year. One of the things that we're working on is the orientation manual. Most of those pieces are together. They just need to be put on the website so that a member can go to the members only section, look at the orientation manual, get information about our bylaws, organizational structure, that kind of thing. Another one of the items that we are working on for that is the DCO contact matrix that I had been working on. It is a list of the functional areas at DCO and the people you would contact. So there's like trade, and it has Susan, Janet, Crystal. There's depending on what we get from them, it'll be posted to the website fairly soon, so that if you, like when I started, I'd be like, okay, now who am I supposed to talk to? This will give you an opportunity to know who those people are. The other piece of the website that we're working on is the pictures and the bios, and some of you do not have those yet. This is a reminder to get your picture or your bio. We have a sneaky plan if you don't do that, posting other information that you will want to correct. Just kidding. So if you've not gotten those to Robin, get those to Robin soon. Let's see, what else did we talk about? The other big item on our agenda that we had not made much progress on was the Leadership Training Institute that we had talked about. This was designed to help people who are perhaps program staff get the training that they need to move into like a director of the program side or a WIB director position. We had an initial discussion, a group of us. What we are planning to do is create a fellows program where people who have the potential to be managers would get the opportunity to be mentored by someone in IWP, someone from a different type organization. So if they were with the county, like with my organization, they would be paired with someone with a not-for-profit organization, so they would get a feel for different types of WIB structures. We are going to follow the format of NAWDP's Management Services credential so that they get the same types of training that you would to get that endorsement. We would add in a piece on legislative, political kinds of issues because that is a big piece of what we do and it's not a part of that management services. In the next month or two, we would start perhaps in the next program year. Let's see, what else was I supposed to talk about? The other priority that we are beginning to work on is outreach to members who are not so active in IWP. We suspect, we're not exactly sure, that people who have not participated in the past are participating via webinar in this meeting. So our first step will be to find out who those individuals who are participating via webinar and then reach out to them and see how we might involve them more fully in the organization, what kinds of benefits we can give to them as members. The other thing we talked about is greeters or board buddies or who would be a group of volunteers in this organization who would then be assigned to mentor new members. So their job would be to, at the first meeting that someone is at, they would introduce them to everyone and then help them adjust. Then they would act as a resource for individuals. So if I'm a new member, I could call up my board buddy, greeter, and ask them questions and find out more about the organization and how things really work. And that's kind of our report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Terry? Oh, don't leave yet.
Dang, I thought I was done. Blanche?
I was putting together the DCEO directory with the
She's not the one to do anybody.
within workforce areas that might also be a qualified individual to call. Because, for example, maybe we have 2 or 3 folks that are willing to be contacts for trade, because sometimes I prefer to talk to a colleague before I want to talk to the state.
Okay, so Blanche's question was, as we put together the DCL matrix, might we also include IWP contacts who are experts in certain areas such as trade, because sometimes it's easier to talk to a colleague than to go to DCL, which is a really but that's a really excellent suggestion, so we'll follow up on that. And then Chuck, you're good? Okay. All right.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, Strategic Committee, Pam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, there's several things that we've been working on, particularly this in this last meeting. One of our big initiatives, as most of you know, is the Reinventing Workforce initiative. We've been having several conference calls and email exchanges trying to get this whole thing kind of finalized, and it will be coming up for a vote in just a few minutes. But for right now, just to explain it, we have basically 4 pieces that we've been working on. One of them is a 1-page fax. It's kind of just a brief summary of the different recommendations or proposals that we're making. That's something that people can use if they want to fax it to somebody, or if it's something you just want to hand to somebody as a quick overview. There's also a 2-page document that's got that information plus a little bit more. if you want to provide somebody with more detail or you yourself want more detail on talking points. There's a chart that we have that kind of groups things by subject in the recommendations or the proposals we're making. And then there's a 5-page piece that provides obviously a lot more detail and a lot of information on, again, each of the different areas. Things to note, it's all the same information, it's just presented differently so that you have options on which one of those 4 pieces you want to use that will best suit the purpose of whatever it is. A couple things, we had what we thought was the final piece, but again, when we presented it yesterday and talked about it yesterday as part of our roundtable discussion or our panel discussion, a couple things came up. One, a question was raised where we're discussing the administrative efficiencies we wanted to include the unemployment insurance piece under the boards as along with Wagner, Pizer, Trade, Veterans Employment, all those other things. And we did discuss this in committee yesterday and decided that yes, we would still like to include it. A couple of the reasons were, for example, we thought we could better coordinate that piece of everything if it was under the boards. Most of us know that unemployment insurance is now offering workshops and reemployment activities, so we thought it was just best to be able to coordinate that with everything else that we're doing. It would also allow, again, you know, what we would say more efficient use of funds and allow flexibility. So we did decide to leave that in the section under administrative efficiencies and cost savings. Under the state workforce investment boards, where we're recommending or proposing that the majority of state board members should be business members, just like our local boards, we added a piece in there that suggests as well or proposes as well that those business members, at least a portion of them, come from local boards. We thought that was a good connection, a good the state board. And then under program design and delivery, we added a section on adding a standalone summer program as part of our proposal. It's been something that we've talked about, we've encouraged, we've asked for, so we thought we wanted to put that in our whole reinventing the workforce system. So with that and those changes, which if this passes, Mary Beth has offered to make the changes, finalize all the different pieces, and then send it out to everybody. At that point, we would certainly, we intend those of us going to NOB in, well, next month now, take that to meetings with our congressional representatives, other advocates, anybody else that we think we're going to share it. I know there's thoughts and about sharing it with GLEDA, some of the other organizations, some of the other state people from other states, so that we can start speaking, we hope, as one voice for the whole system. So with the changes that I just suggested, I would make the proposal then that we accept our reinventing the workforce system piece at this point, I guess.
Is there a second in the room? Chuck? All in favor in the room? Aye. Any opposed? Those of you at home have the option to check yes, no, or what's the third? Okay, we have 11 yes and 2 no.
That you just have one page.
Pardon me?
Right?
So the motion carries. Our
Thank
paper
you.
is accepted. Thank you very much.
I am
Thanks to your whole committee.
all the other
On the website, I assume we're going to put it on our website.
Yeah.
What version will we be putting on the website?
think that's what she said.
5?
I guess it depends how much, I guess it would depend how much
Yeah.
space we want to devote to it, but certainly at least the one piece, because that would be a good summary.
Well, what it would be the name of the or paper, whatever, and then a link to it. So
So space isn't an issue.
space is not an issue.
I'd say at least a two-page one then.
Right.
Page 1?
Yeah.
Why not put the whole thing out there?
Right, all 3 versions. Okay.
All 4 pieces? Well, yeah, if anybody needed to download, would it be downloadable?
Uh-huh, absolutely.
If anybody wanted to download any of the pieces, that's a good idea. Sure,
Okay.
sure.
You could pick one.
Just came after the...
We had,
Page, but there's a 2-page.
There's,
And a
There's
5
4 pieces. A 1-page, a 2-page, a 5, yep.
Okay.
A 5-page, and then a chart. We got it all, so
Good.
you have all sorts of options, and that's why whatever best suits your purpose.
Mike Williams typed in a question about wouldn't the administrative efficiencies section be more powerful if we could actually equate it to cost savings? And this was definitely part of the discussion, but it would require a lot more work. And it's certainly something we can undertake if the membership feels that it would be worthwhile. But our initial, I mean, it would have taken a lot more time, and one of the ideas was to have this in time for NAWB, and, you know, as the bills were coming to the floor, we thought it was, you know, we couldn't wait 4 months or so to come out with this. So this was like the first run at this, but it's certainly something we could look for at a phase 2.
Or is an ad.
Okay, we have a response coming from Mike, so that might take us.
Our visits with our congressional representatives and/or senators/staff for our visits to NOB and what pieces we're taking. And then once we get all that done from NOB, if there are any congressional people that have not been visited or approached in D.C., we'll get the information to local areas so that they can take it to their congressional people. We talked about the resolution for Workforce Development Week, August 27th. Gary and Christian are going to be working on that so that we can get that moving in both the State House and the State Senate. And as soon as we get a resolution or something together, then we'll be sure to get that out to everybody. But again, just for informational purposes, we're going to go with it again this year, and it will be August 27th, the week of August 27th. We're going to do a walk-around in April for our April meeting, a walk around the state capitol and then the State House for and hand out our annual report and also our piece here that we're reinventing the workforce piece, and then also the crosswalk. Blanche is going to update the crosswalk that talks about congressional districts and make sure that's all up to date. And then we're going to, let's see, we talked about the NOB and GLEDA. There will be a Heartland conference, and it's kind of taken on by both NOB and GLEDA. It's going to be in June. We don't have the exact date yet, but the focus will be for, there's going to be a track for staff and a track for WIBs or WIB chairs, WIB members, and one of the focuses will be the boards of excellence, which fits in very nicely with the goal, one of the goals how that fits into our goal and whether or not we need to do a follow-up or anything beyond that. But again, just right now, tentatively it's scheduled for June. That would be Heartland. We talked also then about the Workforce Innovation Grant funding, just very briefly, and we heard about that today. So that's pretty much the report. And
Mike followed up with a comment, and thanks, Mike, because I know you couldn't be here today and you wanted to contribute some comments to the reinventing paper. Had to do with what the current partners that are at the table and what resources they which we all know in reality and from some of the areas has been, sometimes next to nothing. One of the things that, we took into consideration in writing this bill is that it really tried to address the concerns from DC about the 47, competing or overlapping funding streams. So it really didn't have to do with the local level and the reality on the street, so to speak, because, that's neither here nor there. It's all about that GAO report and the the way it looks that the system is spending a lot of money needlessly because we're all doing the same thing. So, and actually even yesterday there was first asking for clarification, so to speak, on the President's comment during his State of the Union speech on, well, there should be one system, one program, one source, one website, one everything, and they jumped all over that because her bill obviously is very, very focused on, the block grants, just one thing and it's off their plate. So this was primarily to address the issues that there are, similar funding streams that would be more effective and efficient and less administrative costs at all these different levels of bureaucracy, if it was looked at in a different way. So that was really the purpose behind that. It really didn't address the local level. Let's see. Sandy? Okay, Mike, I'm not sure what you mean by expanding the size of the WIBs. Okay, we're gonna come back to Mike's questions at the end. So, but basically, again, this paper is a 30,000-foot view to talk to federal folks about, these are some things that we even want from to see in a new workforce system, because it's not just going to be a reauthorization, it's going to be a new system. So we'll follow up with the rest of Mike's comments, but we'll continue on with the meeting. All right, performance. Bruce, did you want to make any comments?
Performance didn't meet this month, but we will meet in April.
Okay, performance will meet in April, so we'll have you down for 8:30 to 9:30. I think we're back here at the Hilton, if I'm not mistaken. So, and we don't have anybody have anything on TAA they would like to bring up?
The Communications Committee has been working on 3 pieces, actually. First, the annual report. We've got it just about ready to go to print. We're doing the proofreading right now, should go to print at the end of next week. We're also finalizing the captions for some of the photos that you've all sent to us, so you might be getting a call to clarify the photo and in those photos, etc., at the beginning of next week. We'll be going to print, and this is one of the materials that are going to be distributed at the NOB meeting to our legislators, so we're pretty proud of it. The other piece that we're working on is the business labor brochure. We have a brochure that lists all the business members and labor members that are on our workforce boards. We've asked you to send us the list of those businesses and labor members, and I've got about half. So I really need those names, and we're going to update that brochure, and that will be printed also to be distributed at the NOB meeting as well. The other thing that we're working on is kind of an ongoing task is the website. We've got a new face. We've got the different content buttons. We've got the members only set up, and now we're proofreading again each page to make sure that everything is spelled correctly, dates are correct, and all that kind of good stuff. Before we go live, of course, we want it to be correct, and we expect that to go live in the next couple of weeks. So I've given IWPwebsite.ipage.com. http://IWPwebsite.ipage.com. So if you all would go to the link, take a look at it, and please give me your feedback. So this again is a work in progress, and we will continue to update any kind of information that the IWP members would like to have on that site. Yes?
Do you want to mention the password to log into the members only section?
Yes, thank you very much. On the website, there are buttons going across, and if you go to the home page, you'll get a drop-down for members only, and that password is TEAM, T-E-A-M-I-W-P. Again, that password is TEAM, T-E-A-M-I-W-P. That's where you'll find all the bios and the photos of each member. That's where you'll find the training manual, the bylaws, and soon the DCEO contact information. And that's all I've got.
Any questions?
Take any questions?
We had a little preview of the website, and it's beautiful.
We did.
So thank you
Looks
so
good. Thank
much.
you.
It
Thank
looks
you.
great. Clarified his question in that if we're encouraging other funding streams to come under the WIBs, wouldn't that expand the membership of the WIB by adding mandated partners? And one of the things that you notice in the paper is that it just calls for the business representation on the board, so we're not really addressing, because in a lot of the bills, the mandated partners are off the boards. Again, it was a fine line between, we didn't want to rewrite the bill for Congress. That's not the intention, so we didn't want to be prescriptive and get down to, well, let's design this program, or let's, really say some things about, the makeup of the board. Really, the focus in D.C. is on the consolidation of the funding streams for cost efficiencies, and so we tried to stay at that level, and so we really didn't, we didn't address it because, again, where do you draw the line that you don't start to rewrite the bill? Blanche, do you have a comment?
I was just going to say that I think, the President's comments supporting consolidation is not necessarily something that everything area. We need to be out in front of the workforce and it's kind of like, we can do anything if you give us the money. We can create an allocation. We want to really be that first point of contact at the local level. It's the way I interpret that.
I hope everybody heard that, because Blanche stated that very well, about the WIBs just being the first point of contact for these different funding streams. So. And then Kathy Day, thank you for typing in. There was program. So thank you, Kathy, for that update, and just continue to keep it on the agenda because there's always something new with trade. Okay. We have a compliment for Robin that the website looks great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Dave.
Okay, Goleta met this month, and at that meeting, we were given a lot of information. DOL made themselves available to us, and one of the things that we received was sort of a synopsis of the progress of the 7 states that have already had their Department of Labor review. They gave us what I would call probably the high points they would call it. I call it the low points, was those items that were sort of consistent across the line that were problems. And what I'll do is make a copy of that. I'll scan that and send it to Mary Beth to get out to the membership. It's just 2 pages. It's very short, and it's in an outline form, and it shares those items that were brought up in the 7 audits concluded so far. Another thing DOL talked about was a change in how the overall state plan and therefore our plans are going to be handled. There are going to be some changes to our plans and trying to make them more strategic, which I think everybody that heard that thought was a wonderful idea, that we get to strategic planning. The problem is they haven't notified the states of these changes yet, and I think right now they're taking a look, given how that trickle down of communication therefore be extended to October 1st. I give you that heads up for no other reason than we're going to have to wait for state guidance on this, but the Fed's already told us they're behind on it, so I got a feeling we're going to all be given an extension till October 1st. One of the things that was mentioned in Pam's report was the attempt to put together a Heartland conference that's going to focus on boards of excellence. I think one of the things that was really targeted to was to get LWIB leadership people there, board chairs as well as staff. There's also a series of tracks for some line staff as well. That hasn't been flushed out quite as well, and I think we have to wait to hear. We will be getting back in touch with the leadership of GLEA to try to at least get a date set so that everybody can put it on their calendar. As Pam mentioned, it would be in June, and I believe late June. That also brought up a point that was talked about at strategic, and that was to maybe take a look at that conference to try to put together our CEO board chair organization again, or at least get both groups into one room for a meeting together. Yes.
Is late June really the right time to have a conference? I mean, our travel dollars are just shrinking, and we're so darn broke by the end of June. It's hard to participate, and I would just hope you might consider early July when we've got money to spend. I'm just afraid. You said something about late June. Nobody's going to be able to afford to go.
Now there's another hand over here, and I'll allow this lady to.
Okay, let's not forget what we just heard from Ray.
Yeah.
July through September could be a little thin.
That's what I was thinking.
So there is obviously some debate over the time, and we will bring all of these concerns back to GLEA. So thank you for that portion of the report. And moving right along, I'm going to move into COSA. COSA, the Consortium of State Associations, is going to meet at NOB next month. It's going to give us an opportunity to, I think, introduce our paper to that group. I think the work we've done here is sort of a leading edge kind of thing across the United States. I haven't seen a lot of that. I know that our paper's already gone to Missouri, and I'm sure that GLEA will bring in another 9 states. But that's, I think, going to be the main focus. The other thing COSA has been interested in is gathering information on veterans and there is some best practice kinds of things that we will be discussing in D.C. Obviously a great topic, and one that is topical in that Obama announced his 20,000 jobs for returning vets. My concern there is we got a great system. Why aren't we doing that 20,000 work experience jobs for vets? But that's another item. The IWP did in December. IWP, what did I say? IWP? Okay. Well, the IWP met, not the IWP. And there was a number of initiatives discussed there. One of them was the Entrepreneurship Task Force. I have been asked to join that, and they actually have some materials out that Mary Beth has some copies of that will go out to all of the membership. They've actually given pretty good thought to this. I've talked to the governor's staff person who is with this initiative, and there's a lot of interest at that. Address with the partners being the community colleges as well as IDES. Another thing that they're looking at are those high-demand occupations that are in each of our areas that we have clients who lack the skill sets to get those jobs. I think some of this kind of work is already being done at the local level, and I think the state board is going to take a look at it as well and find out what limited resources they might have to throw at that issue as well. I think that's it. Oh, the last thing I would say about the IWP meeting is that there is a lot of discussion of what the state's going to be able to do in the future based on the fact that they have lost considerable resources. I think we heard some of that this morning when they were here about a lack of incentive dollars, et cetera, but I think it's going to go a lot deeper than that. Questions? Yes, Pam.
When you were talking about the state or the plans changing and becoming more strategic, I wonder if we shouldn't also get a message, not just to states, but to the other partner agencies about the fact that these plans are going to be more strategic so that we can bring them in as part of the process, and maybe a good time to start figuring out ways to coordinate more activities since it kind of appears the way of the future. I know everybody's going to be paranoid about, you know, who's going to be here and who's not and everything else, but, you know, if we want to make a real strategic plan, we can't do it with just we. We have to bring in all the other partners to really make it a good strategic plan, and maybe this would be the time to get that message to those folks as well.
Well, what Pam has asked, or more made a statement, was to the fact that if we have a strategic plan, that strategic plan needs to bring in our partners, that we can't go it alone in that regard. Strategic plan, they're going to...
DOL, maybe take the message back to DOL.
Okay.
To get that message to the other partners.
And Pam's suggesting that we take that message back to DOL so that our other partners are sort of on notice as well. The only other item that came into this fog mind while I was talking is I have asked for a copy of the DOL state monitoring instrument. And if I get that, I'll get it to Mary Beth. I think it's a good instrument for us to use to sort of take a look at our internal practices. One of the items that I think was on there the most that I saw was the fact that there's a lot of procurement issues. How, you know, are we bidding things out? How long do we ad nauseum bring people back to do professional services without bids? And the only item that actually showed up twice on that report that I remember, and it struck me as it was customer exits. It showed up in two different sections there, and as we all know, that's an issue across the board. I think it's a national issue, state issue, and local issue. How many people do we have who show up for years waiting for positive exits? That's all I've got. I've got a face for radio, so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Dave. He's really on the road a lot these days, attending all these meetings, so we appreciate your efforts on our behalf. Okay, Blanche, do you have a report on NWA?
Oh, she's got her notepad.
Good morning. Just a couple of things. On the last conference that David Bradley hosted for NWA, he did ask members to with that yesterday at the Strategic Committee, so we'll be sending those comments. The next biweekly call will actually be on the 14th of February. We will be launching a new website, and in the next board meeting, I'll be sharing the Illinois paper with NWA board. And then the last thing to note is that Bashir is chairing our legislative committee, so we know there'll be a lot of connection with what's going on with Illinois connected to NWA, and Paul is assisting in that, so I know we'll have comments from our strategic committee included.
Thank you. Kathy Day has typed in a report from NAWDP. The annual conference, which is going to be held in Las Vegas on May 7th and 9th, hence the reason for our moving our own retreat. The conference is titled The Only Sure Bet for Workforce Development. Not sure that I like the sound of that, but early bird registration ends February 12th, so that's around the corner. There are over 80 workshops covering youth, the workforce system, dealing with the long-term unemployed, TANF, corrections, program management, economic development, et cetera. So any other comments, Chuck, from you on that? So please sign up. That's why we cleared our agenda, so people can feel free to attend, and who doesn't want to go to Las Vegas? So, okay.
I just wanted to share with everybody, we put it together for our area, and I intend to take that around to some visits with our congressional people. I've been trying to set them up since December, so it will be ahead of NAR.
Is that your little pamphlet handout thing? Do you want to bring it up here and just show it to the folks at home?
And anyway, we talked about, sharing best practices and some of the things that we're doing to try to make contacts with our local legislators to let them know what we're doing. And so I just thought, since we put this together, we did it in-house. I don't know if anybody can see it at home.
Yep, there you go.
I feel like Vanna. But we put it together in-house. Staff was really provided all the information. I did like the little letter at the front and stuff, but okay. But anyway, I just wanted to share it with everybody, not so you know what we're doing, but just so you see what we're doing in terms of the communication and trying to get the message out to the congressional people. And I'm going to send it to our our U.S. senators as well, and just let them know what's happening in our area. So I thought I'd just brag a little bit and let you know what we're doing. Share some
It's a great little book, and maybe if people want their very own copy, they could email you,
Absolutely.
and you'll send them one. So.
Thank you.
And then what I was giving a copy of the page with the information about congressional district, and ask if you could send that to me in a Word document. If we're going to go meet with Schilling.
We had this. We took this last year. This is the same piece. I mean, I can do it, certainly, but, yeah.
Because I want to kind of blow it up, because Jeanette puts together a local report that mirrors this, and then I could...
Any other business? Chuck, were you going to say anything else? Okay, all right, okay. I just wanted to really thank everybody for all their work in between meetings. It's not that we're, not continuing the effort, and I think taking a couple-month hiatus gave everybody an opportunity to really dig down and do some important work. So I appreciate everybody's time and efforts and attention to the goals that were set up at the last retreat, which we're doing very well. I also wanted to really thank Bill, who's worked diligently with our technology to try to make it more accessible, user-friendly, and all-encompassing for those of you on the webinar. So, and Natasha's been very helpful, I think, working with Bill. So we hope that you like the enhancements, and if there's any problems or issues, just shoot us a quick email. Terry?
I just have one an announcement.
Yes.
As most of you know, I sent out an email. We had some retirements in November, and we are in the process of posting those positions. Our business manager, which is our fiscal person, position is posted on the county website. I'll send out the announcement, and we will be posting an assistant director position fairly soon as well. If you know of anyone who might be interested in those positions, please refer them to us.
Okay. Right, from Lake County, they have some positions posted on the county website, but you'll be sending them out.
Yeah, I'll send out the announcement.
Those of you that would like to relocate to beautiful Lake County.
Beautiful
by Lake
County, Illinois.
Wow.
Waukegan.
Even though you had an earthquake last week, we won't mention that, did
That was McHenry.
Where's my house?
We had a bomb threat, not an earthquake.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, lots of excitement up in Lake County. So, all right, any public comment? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
We just party really hard in McHenry.
With taller.
We'll do that.
Guys, wanting that.
All right.
Everybody's hanging their phone? Talk to Dave and see what he says, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you're hanging your phone?
I'm hanging my phone.
Okay.
Great.
Great to do. Thank you. April?
Rowdy.
Really? Yes, I will.
Pleasure, all my work. That's all.
Hi, Terry, have
You got some folks?
and Paula for that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We still have a little bit.
Looks like a pretty
All right, thanks, Mike.
No, I mean, that was positive, where it just says all my work. Then, right?
That's me.
Butterscotch, another good one.
Trust me.